Hey, Rythmia, I'm so sorry. I screwed up again and I was publishing from the wrong place. I believe that I'm on the right place now. I just want to connect with her. Now I'm on the right place, period. Hey, Jen, I think I got it right this time. Welcome to Rythmia. We are Rythmia Life Advancement Center located in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. It is our windy season here, so we have the Papagayo winds. So the internet might fluctuate a little bit. I'm sorry if it does. I'll tell you a little bit about Rythmia. Hey, Tiff. Rythmia is a life advancement center, which is different than an ayahuasca center, and it's different than a metaphysical center, and it's different than a yoga center. It's all of these things combined into one. And the beautiful part about this is that we get the greatest thought leaders from all over that come here. Over 7,000 people have been through the doors here. And what makes this place unique is two things. The first thing is 95.02% of the people, that's 952 out of 1,000, that come here report electronically, self-report electronically that they had a life-changing miracle during their stay. That's super cool. The cooler thing is that 98.11% of them report that 6 months later, they get an electronic survey, 6 months later, that miracle is still working in their life, and this was the week that changed their life. Talk to anybody who's been here. What's the net result of this? Well, there's a thing called TripAdvisor where people rate resorts. Hey, Maria. A thing called TripAdvisor where people rate resorts, and we are the #1 customer rated resort in the world. The most amount of 5-star ratings per review in the world, over 1,000, maybe even over 1,200 as of today, I don't know, of people that have come here. So more than the Waldorf Astoria, more than the Four Seasons, like this little place in Costa Rica. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. What makes this, what is our program like? What does it do? Well, we believe in something. We believe that between conception and about 5 years old, something happened in your house that made you separate from yourself. And so you stayed within your aura, as you can see up here, you stayed within your aura, but you separated from yourself, and this new thing that you created starts living your life for you. And it's not really you. And because of this, as we get older, we're living in this separation that it generates all addictions, all disease, all disorders, and the majority of the sadness in our life is because of this split. What we do here is through the use of ayahuasca and metaphysical teachings and meditation and yoga and food and cleanse, we whack that back together. And that's why people talk about us in the way that they do. If you have any idea, Claudia, please post a link to TripAdvisor so that they can see what they're saying about this, so that it's not just some guy talking. Yeah. So people believe this thing happens to them while they're here, and they keep it forever. So let's talk. Hey, Cash. Hey, Johnny. So let's talk. Hey, Lorena. Let's talk a little bit about some of these things. Like for last 2 weeks, I've been talking about financial things. By the way, we have Giovanni Bartolomeu here this week, who's an amazing guy. We're full this week. We're full last week. We have all kinds of people come here, from actors to actresses to athletes to musicians and musical people and regular people. Everybody's coming from all around to have this thing happen to them. And the greatest thing about this, hey Ella, we'll see you Sunday. The greatest thing about this is that when you get it, it's yours forever. But the last couple of weeks, hey, good morning, Shari. The last couple of weeks I've been talking about a word that I don't use, manifestation. I replace that with creation and the creation process, how the creation process works. Why do I have rights to talk about that? Because I've been lucky at it, right? As a kid, I became a millionaire in my 20s. I became a multi-millionaire in my 30s. And I've been very good at starting companies and selling them. That's my thing. And the last one was probably over 10 years ago that I sold for about 90 million bucks. So that I owned as the founder and started it, yeah. And now I started Rythmia about 5 years ago. Actually, 4 years ago. Our anniversary was 4 years ago, about a week ago, of being open, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. So that's what I know about creation. So I have this class and this workshop called Truthonomics, where I talk about all this creation stuff, and in it I hit on a couple things, and ever since I talk about it, people email me all week and ask more questions. So I'm going to try to answer some of them for you, right? And someone said, I talk about sadness generators, and they said, "What can you elaborate on what sadness generators are?" And I can. So here's the thing: indecision is the first one. Being indecisive will keep you in the murk. Now, usually, indecision comes out of the split. It comes out of the split. It comes out of the split, and why? Because parts of us want something and other parts of us don't. So you've got to hear this. So because of this split, and I'll give you an example of something like this. So because of this split that happened to us, parts of us might want something from here, and our soul might want something different, and that creates a funky kind of feeling. It creates like, yeah, I want to do that, but there's something that's just not right about it. Or I know that's good for me, but there's some part of me that doesn't want to do it, and that creates this. So the first thing I say to people is to merge back with your soul, and when you do, then a lot of that indecisiveness on the what I want part goes away, and other things happen. So indecision is one of the first fear generators, because if you're indecisive, what happens, what we believe and what the plant medicine constantly tells us, is that time, earth time, not time in the astrals, because they're very different, but earth time is the only thing that we have, right? And as far as we can understand, our consciousness says, okay, we're here on earth for so long, and it's the only thing that has been metered out. So everything else given by God is in forever abundant supply. Love, beauty, harmony, all needs met, that's in a very abundant supply. But time has been initiated and given to us in a limited time each time that we are on earth. So we have time. So when time is ticking by, and decisions, hey Maiku, and decisions aren't being made, that's when we get into sadness. The next one is obvious, which is fear. So what does that mean? So this is the truth. And here's a great, great thing that you can read this. Hell is knowing what you want and not being willing to do what it takes to get it. Hell is knowing what you want and not being willing to do what it takes to get it. So that's like your own prison. Your own prison, right? Your own prison. You're here and you're saying, this is what I want, and I really want it. My heart is singing that I want it, except I can't do it because of this, this, and this. Now all of a sudden, you're locked up and you're in prison. That creates fear and sadness. And fear and sadness are not, they don't go with this other thing, this being in flow. So that's two things that are wrong. That create sadness, right? So the first one, indecision, and the second one, fear. This is just the way this shit is working, and this is science, this is science. This isn't conjecture or hope or voodoo. This is the science of the system. So the sadness creators are fear and indecision. And the next thing is time expectation. So people talk about this all the time. They say, Gerry, should I get rid of my expectations, right? And I'm like, no, you should raise your expectations. You were born into an all possibility environment. Every possibility is here for you. Your expectations should be here. As far as quantity and quality should be here. Time is a different thing. Expectations about time usually fuck us up. Why? Because most people are unrealistic about time expectations. Quantity and quality have no ceiling. Life can get so much better than you've ever imagined. Life can be so much more than you've ever imagined. There's so much more love. There's so much more goodness. There's so much more prosperity. There's so much more love. There's so much more caring. There's so much more consciousness. There's more of everything. And a better quality of it. It's all there for you. Where it gets fucked up, where sadness gets generated, is when unrealistic time expectations are put on it. So, what did I learn about plant medicine? Is time on Earth and time in the astrals are completely two different things. I've had some journeys where 15 minutes felt like 15 days. And I had other journeys where 5 and 6 hours felt like 5 minutes. They're completely different things, and I'm talking about Earth time. So in Earth time, what is the truth? Well, in Earth time, it takes us longer than we thought. It takes 10 years to master something. It does. That's just it. So if you start a business and you expect it to be an out-of-the-park home run, in under 10 years, you're kidding yourself. If you start a new vocation, if you become a golfer, and you expect to be the best golfer in the world in under 10 years, you're kidding yourself. In a rare moment, when all the stars and planets line up, it can happen in 7 years. But 10 years is the norm. And if you watch businesses, that's the way that it works. If you're becoming a healer and you want to be the best healer in the world, you figure to give yourself 10 years. Now, so the time expectation has to be right. What I don't want you to do is to chunk that down. What do I mean by that? I don't want you to chunk the quality of your success down. I'm going to tell you right now that no matter who you are, if you love this thing and you picked it from your heart, from a merged part in you, from your heart, that not only will it be as good as you think, it'll be 10 times better. It will give you 10 times more. And I use the 10 times theory because I've seen it in my life. I tell this story. I started a business. I wanted it to be over in 3 years. I thought, I can make this fucking thing 3 years. And what was my goal? My goal was to get $10 million out of that business. That was my goal, right? So at 3 years, I wasn't even close. And that put me into, it took me 10 years. That put me into 7 years of constantly being let down. Because it took me 10 years and I wanted it in 3 years. So I lived 7 years in disappointment. Now the good news is this, at the end of the 10th year, instead of getting 10, I got 90 million. So what I'm going to tell you is, it's going to take longer than you thought, and it's going to give you so much more than you thought. So I want your expectations over quantity and quality to be as high as anyone in the world. I want it to be as high as anyone in the world. I want your expectations over time to be realistic. Because if you're living with a realistic time frame, then guess what? You start treating time more importantly. If you know that it's going to take you 10 years, and that you know if you're more conscientious, you might get it down to 8. Well, holy God, all of a sudden, you start taking each and every one of your decisions importantly and conscientiously and all of this, right? So be serious. What it does, it makes you serious. And when I say serious, I don't mean without fun. There's two different things. Pleasure seeking, which is a lot of fun, right? A lot of fun, but unfulfilling. And then there's enrichment, which is I'm doing this thing consciously I realize how long I'm on this earth if I'm lucky, and I want to make each moment something that makes me a beneficial presence on this planet. I want to be a beneficial presence on this planet. I want, after the time has gone, to look back and to say, you know what, Gerry, man, he fucked up in the beginning. Woo! Wow. But boy, once he got it, he really made a difference to the people he touched in his life. Now, when you can say, that was kind of gratuitous, yeah? But that's how I look at that's not that I'm doing it. That's what I want from my life. I want to look back and to say on my deathbed that at the end of the day, even though I was a terrible, terrible human in the beginning, that when I look back on it, I helped more than I hurt by the end. And for me to be a beneficial presence on this planet, I have to give everything. So we talked about sadness generators. So what is the opposite? Happiness generators, right? So that means making decisions. And I want to tell you what, once you're in your heart, once you're centered and you're in this deal, like in the Ankh, in this part of the Ankh, when you're merged, then you don't have to fucking take a lot of time to make a decision because your heart knows what you want. So if you see 11 things, you go right to the one that's good for us, right for the one that's merged. So people say, oh my God, he makes decisions without thinking. It's not without thinking. It's because his heart's making the decisions. His merged self is making the decisions, right? So that's the first one, this lack of indecision. Lack of fear. Hey, when you're doing it from your heart, even when you're wrong, you're right. Woo! When you're doing it from your heart, even when you're wrong, you're right. Boom. Boom. Right? And then when you arrange the time expectations, to have realistic time expectations, nothing takes you off. You can't be taken off your thing. And here's the other one I love. Heaven. Knowing what you want and deciding to do whatever it takes to get it. So once you know what you want and you make a commitment, Gerry, it's going to take me 10 years. 7 if I'm super lucky. And I'm going to do everything around this, and I'm going to be in the act of giving all the time. I'm never going to back up from the act of giving. I'm never going to back up from the act of giving. Never. Now, I see Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Real important question. Is this using your intuition when we are in alignment? So here's something really crazy. When you use your gut or your intuition and you're fragmented, you don't know where that's coming from. And that's why some people, you talk to them and they said, listen, I followed my heart my whole life and it never worked. You know why? Because you were broken. And what you felt like you were following your heart, you were following your needs, your ego's needs. Two different things. That will send us around two very different roads, right? Because your ego's needs might not be at all aligned, and I say might not be, with the need of your soul. And the need of your soul is what makes you sing. When your soul's needs are met, now we're in this beautiful part of just fulfillment, yeah? So when the great part is, once you're here and once you decide what you want, the rest is just academic. When I'm here, I know it's going to take 10 years. I picked the thing of my heart's desire. And I love doing it, even when I'm not good at it. I love doing it. As a matter of fact, I get driven harder to do things better, even when I'm not good at it. Hey, Carrie, even when I'm not good at it, I keep trying and doing better and better and better. And now I have a realistic 10-year expectation. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Things start to fall in line. And then my intuition is on target because it's the combination of my earth existence and my soul's intuition picking the things that I want. Now all of a sudden it's completely aligned with what's good for us, what's good for the world. what's good for the people around me. There's no separation. All of a sudden, boom, we're there. Hi, Linda. Yeah, we're there and we're living it. So look at this. Is hard stuff. This is not easy stuff. It's super hard. It's fucking, I'm going to say damn near impossible when you're split. It's damn near impossible. You don't know where the fuck any of these feelings are coming from, or the desires, or this or that or this. That's why this getting back together, which by the way is your hero's journey. You were supposed to split and you're supposed to come back together. That's the beauty of the thing, yeah? So when we do this, then all of these things become easier. But even after this is done, we can choose to not learn from it, to not participate with it, and to shut it down. I'm going to say 4% of the people to 5% of the people that leave here choose not to do it and lose their way. And them I really want to talk to, because that's not how to do that. Yeah. And I invite you back. Now, thing is this, please, I want to see you, Jose, in April as well. If you have more questions, please fire them. But I want to see you people here. Get here. We're running out of beds. As a matter of fact, I had to buy 60 more acres Hi, Gerry. How do you push through the academics and stay centered when it becomes overwhelming? Great question, Michelle. So here's what I'm going to tell you. That most of the time it's going to feel overwhelming. If you're really going to get great at something, most of the time you're going to feel overwhelmed. And then you're going to start to just come to grips with this is the feeling, and then that feeling becomes normal but good. But good. Now, if you didn't pick the thing that you're doing from here, and that first time that it's overwhelmed way too much, you're going to give up. That's why everything comes down to the engineering. Picking it from the right place is the absolute 100% right way to go. And that in itself is exhilarating. That's it. So listen, guys, I want you to come here. We're running out of beds. Actually, we've run out of beds. The thing is, so book, call now, book, get a cancellation, get somebody who quit, book, and in the future, probably 2.5 years from now, we're going to have a few more beds because I bought the land surrounding us, and we're going to make a solar farm and a food farm and different kinds of things. Not a lot more beds, but a lot more to do. So please come here. Book now. Call this number 1-886-936-9446. Please call us. Please come and see us. Please get in this thing. And for today, do yourself a favor and examine yourself and see if these things hold true to you. That these are the things that are working or not working for you. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, beautiful, sacred week. And I'll see you next week. And come and visit us. Julie, we'll see you then. And Michelle, thank you. Love you guys. And I love having you here. God bless you. See you soon.